Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode number 20 of the Courtside podcast. Happy Monday. A couple things I want to address before we get into episode 21, like I said. Uh, First of all, I apologize for me uploading on a Monday night to Tuesday afternoon-ish. I accidentally uploaded the wrong footage for last episode, so I'm going to be re-recording, and I also misspoke when I said episode 20. I meant to say episode 21 because I already had an episode 21, like I think last week, so I apologize for that. But nope, but don't worry. This episode is officially episode number 21, so I just want to get that out of the way. Secondly, I know I'm kind of a week late, and I apologize for that. I literally forgot about this. Uh, Happy belated birthday to one of our former members of the group in Jason Abrams. Jason, man, I'm so sorry that I missed your birthday, but I hope you had an amazing, fun day. I miss you like crazy, dude. I really do, man. I hope we could talk soon. Hope we could FaceTime with Amanda here and there, Nasli here and there. But nonetheless, I hope you had a great day. Hey, let's talk soon. Let's talk about the Celtics. Let's talk about your boy Peyton Pritchard, and I talk about KD. Let's talk about Chief Keef, whatnot. You and me, bro. All right. But anyway, in today's video, as you can see, we're going to be recapping games 1 through 2 of the NBA Finals because the NBA Finals is going on as of right now. Address the media backlash, the Celtics backlash in the media, and a whole lot more. But before we get started, one, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn that post notification bell, like this video, and comment down below if you think this series is over or you think Dallas is going to have a chance, and if so, why. And without further ado, let's get into episode number 21. Excuse me. All right. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say this. I watched both games, so there might be some spoilers here and there. But anyway, peeking at game one between the Mavericks and the Celtics. Obviously, the Celtics won this game. They were the more prepared team. The Celtics won by a score of 107 to 89. This game was kind of close in a way. Like it started out like Dallas was on top, but then Boston just stole away. Looking at the Dallas side of things, Luka had 30 points, 10 rebounds. He only was held to one assist, which to this day, I know it was a week ago, but it still kind of blows my mind seeing Luka Doncic have one assist. Kyrie had 12 points on 6 of 19 from the field. PJ Washington had 14 points. And like Jaden Hardy, who provided a little spark off the bench, had 13 points. Peeking at the Celtics side of things, Jayson Tatum had 16 points. He had 11 rebounds, but he did have 5 assists and 6 turnovers, which I know a lot of people in the media are going to rip on him for the 6 turnovers. But hey, at least he played a little bit of facilitator role. If you know, you know. Al Horford had 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. Drew Holiday, one of the best shutdown defenders in our league right now, had 12 points on 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Derek White, probably the most underrated player in the league right now, had 15 points. He went 5-11 from 3 of 8 from field. Also had 5 assists. And then Jaylen Brown had 22 points to go with 6 rebounds and 2 assists. And he shot 7 of 12 from the field. Peeking at the Celtics bench, obviously the main story was Kristaps Porzingis. He led the way with 20 points, along with 8 of 13 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 2 for 2 for the line, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks at a plus 13. Peeking at the next game, we have obviously game 2. I know it's not game 2. My laptop is loading right now, so I apologize for that. But anyway, game 2 of the NBA Finals was probably a lot closer than I anticipated, but it is what it is. The Celtics won 105 to 98. This game actually was in Dallas's favor, actually, believe it or not. Like, I think Dallas, like, for the first half, led pretty much the entire first half, if I'm not mistaken. So. But as you can see, the Mavs, their role players stepped up. They played pretty well. PJ Washington actually had the best like plus minus out of the entire team that played for more than 20 minutes per se. He had 17 points. Derrick Jones Jr., and I said Daniel Jones right there, had 11 points. He was solid. Daniel Gafford was solid. He had 13 points and 9 rebounds. Kyrie once again struggled with 16 points. And Luka Doncic, despite having a triple double and having a really good, stats wise kind of game, he had 32 points. And then their bench couldn't do anything. Peeking at the Celtics side of things, Jayson Tatum had 18 points, but he did have 12 assists and 9 rebounds, almost a triple double, which should be noted. I repeat, should be noted. Especially the assists with 12 assists and 9 rebounds. Drew Holiday had 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. I mean, Drew was absolutely spectacular in this game. Derek White had 18 points. He actually had a pretty crazy block at the end. I know a lot of people in the media and I think all across social media are saying that was a foul and whatnot. He had 18 points. And then Jaylen Brown had 21 points at 18 of 15 from the field, 1 of 5 from three, but he did have 7 assists in this game. And then peeking at the Celtics bench, I mean, Kristaps had 12 points. And that is me recapping games 1 through 2 of the NBA Finals. Let me know what your biggest takeaway were for games 1 and 2. Let's see you soon. All right, so now we're going to address, which I feel like is the thing that really drives me nuts nowadays, and that is the slander from the the slander the Celtics are getting across the media. I'm not even a Celtics fan. Like I used to when I was a kid. I don't watch them as much other than this year's finals and the years. I think what was the 22 finals because they played Golden State. But look, I want to address it because I feel like this is really starting to get on my nerves a little bit. Like everywhere I look across sports, and I said this to my brother Suin earlier today. Um, Everybody in the media except for Paul Pierce, who is maybe you guys know is a Celtics legend, but anyway, is picking the Mavs to win the series. Like I even saw people like I think Nick Wright, who's like one of the co-hosts of one of my favorite shows, in First Things First, saying the Mavs were going to win in 5. All right. And I feel like whenever there's a Celtics discussion, like for instance, I watched a clip this morning about I think it was First Take. It was addressing why is Kyrie I think Molly asked the question panel, which is why is Kyrie struggling in the finals? And not one person, Stephen A, Shannon Sharp, Kendrick Perkins, address why Kyrie struggling. They're saying he's the reason why Kyrie is struggling right now. He's the reason why the Mavs are struggling, excuse me. Outside their bench, their role players and all that stuff. And I was watching that clip this morning and I was thinking to myself, and I looked through the comment sections of that video. I was like, how about you address how good the Celtics defense is? All right. The Celtics defense this year is really freaking good. They are in my opinion, in this aspect, a cheat code of a team. They have what I would expect to be if you're a title contender, and that is this: you gotta have 1 or 2 guys that can give you 25 a night. They have that in Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum. They have a rim protector with Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford. You have to have a decent amount of role players. They had that in Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Drew Holiday. I don't classify, and Derek White. And then you need to have a shutdown defender on your team, basically a guy that can lock down your best player. And they have not one but 2 of those guys on their team, Derek White and Drew Holiday. And no one failed to mention across the media. I'm not sure across all sports media because I only watch First Take, Get Up, Undisputed, sometimes First Things First, and Speak. But they did not acknowledge one time about the Celtics defense. There's a reason why the Celtics have been one of the best teams in the league right now. Not to mention they are I think top 3 in defensive rating. And you fail to acknowledge that is really annoying. Saying, oh, Kyrie just sucked. Why don't you just admit that the Celtics have one of the best defenses in the league? All right. And yeah, you can say, "Oh, the Celtics had the easy road," like, and they're lame excuse. I'm sorry if I'm like sidetracking a little bit. I apologize. But when they were asked, like, "Was this the easy road for the Celtics?" Like, I'm really sick and tired of hearing that question across the sports media. Like, and I'm sorry for saying these words because I don't like swearing, but it's so fucking annoying to see sports media saying, "Did the Celtics have an easy road to like the finals?" Like, shut with all due respect, shut up. All right, it's so annoying to see that is like their excuse for why the Mavs are struggling, or like why the Celtics won because they had an easy road to the finals. Y'all do realize the Mavs also, to a certain degree, had an easy road to the playoffs as well. Like, people tend to forget about that. Okay, and for people calling me like, "Oh, that's not true," let me explain how. Okay, they played the Clippers, who did not have Kawhi Leonard throughout that series. All right, now I know Paul George and James Harden played well, but like, still, if Kawhi was healthy in that series, I thought that series was like a definite lock. I'll sign a piece of paper kind of thing, in the aspect of this series was going in seven. All right, the second round, they faced against the OKC Thunder team, the number one seed in the Western Conference. All right, and before you say, "Yeah, but that team is young," you guys realize that the last time the Thunder ever made it to the like past the first round, other than what is it, 2024, was 2016 when they had Russ and KD at the helm. Ever since then, it's been like bounced in the first round against Houston, part one. All right, 2018, bounced by Utah, a young Utah team, I would say, with a young Donovan Mitchell. 2019, they get bounced by my Portland Trailblazers by Damian Lillard. 2020, get bounced by the Rockets, part two, with CP3 and a young Shea. Okay, now granted that year doesn't count considering that like nobody expected him, but it is what it is. All right, the COVID year, 2020, what was it? 21, they qualified. They missed the playoffs. 21, 22, they missed the playoffs. 22, 23, one game away from actually playing the eventual champions Denver Nuggets in the first round. All right. What's my point, you may ask? They haven't made the past the first round since 2016. Yes, this Thunder team is young. You could put up that excuse. But let's face it, they were a tough out. And then finally, we got the Timberwolves. And let me remind you guys when I say this. All right. You can say that Minnesota was favored to beat Dallas, and they were. But if you look deeply, and I know this sounds really like off topic or anything, if you look at the Minnesota roster, like their personnel, let's be honest, none of their players have ever made it to the conference finals. And I think the last time ever in franchise history, the Minnesota Timberwolves made it to the Western Conference Finals. I don't think Am was even. I think Am was like a baby during that time. I'm not entirely sure. Yes, the Timberwolves were favored to beat the Mavs, even though the Mavs won. But let's be really honest here. Like, a lot of people were saying that Dallas is gonna find a way to upset Minnesota. All right. So my general point, for those that are saying, get to the point, is stop saying the Celtics had an easy path to the finals. All right. And if you're gonna say that, I'm gonna counter with this point right here. I'm gonna counter with this point right here. Even with Jimmy Butler, Tyrese Haliburton, Donovan Mitchell, if those three were healthy in those series, the Miami series, Cleveland series, and the Indiana series, I still think they wouldn't have beaten Boston. All right. Now, I did expect, if they were healthy, that the series was going to be longer just because of how good those players are. But in the end, I just think Boston was just way too good. They have a lot of weapons that they can throw at you. And for that, I would take Celtics. So do you guys agree with my statement on that the Celtics slander needs to be stopped across the media, or should it continue? And if so, let me. If not, or if so, yes, let me know in the comment section. All right, my next topic is a topic that I really did not want to talk about in this week's episode, but it feels like I didn't have a choice. To quote one of my favorite Jedi of all time in Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker. Granted, he used different words, but the wording is similar. I didn't have a say in this whatsoever. I know he says in the TV series in the Clone Wars saying you don't have a say in this to Padme and whatnot. I don't care. Same thing. I didn't have a say in this. Stop slandering Jayson Tatum. Like, I honest to God feel so bad for this dude. All right? Because every time the Celtics win a game, they're like, oh, how did Jayson Tatum do? Oh, he had like 19 points. Trash. All right? Just acknowledge the fact that Jayson Tatum is now starting to become a little bit like a point guard in the aspect of he's more facilitating the ball. All right, stop. All right, like this is a problem. Like my biggest problem with certain people in this world, they tend to look at one particular thing and zero in on that particular thing and use that against that player. All right, like let's say a player had I don't know a monster game. He had let's say this player had 25 points, 16 rebounds, and 12 assists. But the way he got the 25 points, you may ask, he took 30 shots. Like what I'm saying is they're gonna zero in on the number of shots he took and use that like, oh, but he took 30 shots. Like, shut up. All right. Jayson Tatum is a good player. Now, has he struggled in these finals? He has. But he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make my teammates better. All right? Hey, Jalen, I'm gonna feed you. I'm gonna get you going. Derek, I'm gonna get you going. Drew, I want you to get going as well. Kristaps, you're coming back. All right. I want to get you going. Al, you're my guy. I want to get you going. Peyton, you seem to be struggling. As in Peyton Pritchard, by the way. Peyton, you seem to be struggling. I want to get you going. Sam Hauser, Sam, I'm going to get you going. All right. He's doing that. All right. And I mentioned this, I think, last episode. So I'm going to bring this point up again. There's only been one game this postseason where he has less than 5 assists. And I think it was like Miami game 3. I'm not entirely sure. I have to double check. But still, all right, except for that, he has had more than 5 assists in all of their playoff games. Like, what more do you want this kid to do? All right. Now, do I think he needs to have a bounce back game like in game 3? Yes, he does. All right. Because right now, and like I said, I told this to my brother earlier today. I can't say who the Finals MVP is if the Celtics win. Like for the West, I think it's gonna be Luka, but for the Celtics, like I don't even know. All right, I expect Tatum in games 3 and 4 to have a monster playoff game, and I want him to sit like I want all the naysayers. If he does have a really good game in games 3 and 4, I want them to say something nice because this kid works hard every single game. Well, that's basically my little rant, I would say, about Jayson Tatum. Look, I love Jayson. I think he's a phenomenal player. All right, he's a young player. He's a young dog. But guess what? I understand it's the finals. But guess what? He's not being like, okay, I'm just going to take 30 shots. All right? No, he's not being like a selfish diva. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get my other teammates involved so they can get going. And then when they are feeling like, okay, Jayson, you've had enough playmaking, it's time for you to like cook. He's like, you know what? I'll start cooking. So my point is ultimately, does Jayson Tatum deserve this slander in the media? And do you think he'll be bounced back in games 3 and 4? Let me know in the comment section below. Speaking of players, my next point is talking about a player that a lot of you guys, if you remember, I had a little bit of a love-hate relationship, and that is Kyrie Irving. Now, if you remember, I think it was summer of 2022 to be exact. I publicly said on YouTube that I think Kyrie Irving should retire. I was with Stephen A. With him. I was agreeing with Stephen A. He should 100% retire because he clearly did not care about basketball. And I want to say that after what is it, 2.5 years it's been. I want to say this. I am so sorry. All right, and it's not like I hate Kyrie. I hated Kyrie. I liked his game. I just think he was an absolute distraction towards all the teams he's been in ever since he left LeBron. All right, Boston. You know how bad it was in Boston. All right, Brooklyn. Like it was like, oh god, he's gonna team up with Kevin Durant. Like watch this thing explode in a Thanos of a snap. And then he comes to Dallas, and I know they didn't struggled with struggled. A lot of people were saying it was it Luka's fault, was it Kyrie's fault, and was he going to leave or not? But this year, and I actually looked this up. Do you guys know that this is the first time? I repeat, first time since Kyrie Irving has played at least 55 games. Now, I know that sounds a little bit like crazy considering an 82-game season, but if you really think about it, and I'm actually gonna actually pull up the stats right now. Let me pull up the stats because I can't remember the top of my head. Let me see. Kyrie. All right. Kyrie played 58 games this season. Now you might be wondering, like, okay, why is that so important? Do you guys know that this is the first that is the most games he has played since his last year in Boston when he had like 67. He played 67 games. Like now, granted, he now for like a full like for one team, all right, because I'm not counting when he went from Brooklyn to then like Dallas because like things got a little bit chippy, but still, like this was the first time I've seen Kyrie being like, you know what, I apologize for what I did, and I even liked it when he like apologized to when he said I apologize to like LeBron and stuff like that. I was going through a lot of stuff here and there, so Kyrie, man, I apologize for everything I said to you. I think you're a great player. And my answer on if you guys remember, I'm not sure if I said it last episode or the episode before that. I said which jersey is mostly going to get retired. I think Kyrie's going to get his jersey retired in Cleveland, and if they win it somehow in Dallas, because I think he's a great player, and I think he's acknowledged like, hey, I'm not the I don't have to be the number one guy. All right, that's Luka. Can I give score 30 when Luka's struggling? Absolutely, I can do that. But I'm going to become a better player. I'm going to be the second fiddle to Luka. And I'm going to be more of like a mentor. Like I think I've seen a couple clips like throughout these playoffs of Kyrie, like showing Derek Lively. I think showing Josh Green, showing PJ Washington, like, hey, this is what being in the playoffs look like. And for that, I apologize for all the Kyrie nonsense I said earlier. So yeah, but anyway, let's talk about Game 3 of the playoffs. I mean, not the playoffs, the finals. I'm sorry, when I was saying the word playoffs, I meant to say it. But anyway, the finals. Obviously, Boston's up 2-0, and Dallas is down 2-0. And Game 3 is a must win. Because like Richard Jefferson said, because I think I saw it on like YouTube, I think if Dallas loses Game 3, you can call it as it is. This is over. So here are my keys for Dallas and Boston to win Game 3. So I'm going to start with Dallas because they're the more desperate team. I think for Dallas, and I know Luka is. Before you say anything, I know Luka is a playmaker. So here's my keys for Dallas. Excuse me. Dallas. If I'm Luka, I'm trying to get 10 assists in the first one. I am trying to get Kyrie Irving going. All right. And the reason why I say that is because we know what Luca can do. We like Luca. I've said it multiple times. Luca is a metahuman. All right, for those that know what that means, it's basically like another word for alien. And that's why I'm saying like he's like really freaking good. He's a metahuman. But the thing is, it's just Luca. Like the Celtics have been shutting down Luke, Kyrie, and the others. If I'm Luca, I'm being like Kai, PJ, Derek. All right, Daniel, I'm gonna let you guys score. Like I want Luca to be honest to God, and I mean this with all due respect. I want Luca to get 20 assists in the game in this game because the thing is like he if the Mavs and I've said it a bunch if the Mavs want to push Boston to the brink or at least have a chance to make this a series, Kyrie has to play really good. It can't just be Luca because then Boston's gonna be like, okay, if we can shut down everybody else, Luca is gonna be gapped. He's gonna be fatigued. He's gonna be, and I'm sorry for saying this, Mavs fan, he's gonna be crippled. So if I'm Luca, I'm feeding Kyrie. I mean, like I'm getting Kyrie good shots, open shots, as well as Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington. I'm getting those guys going. I know this is like a long, like crazy idea. I want Luca to have 20 assists by the end of game three in order for Dallas to win game three. Because if he doesn't and like they have another bad game, like this series is gonna be over. Like I'm sorry to say that, but it's gonna be over. It's gonna be absolutely over. Like you can like bring out the brooms here and there. You could pull out like I think the Kyrie quotes or whatnot. But yeah, you gotta get Kyrie going if you're Dallas. Like you got like once Kyrie gets like 20, 22 points in like the first half and he's shooting like 6 or 7 from the field and whatnot, then I think like I want Luca to score a little bit, but I want Kyrie to be like, hey, I haven't been playing as well as I have in these playoffs. I think I should like, step up, here and there and like play really well. So if I'm Dallas, like and then like in the third quarter, I want Luca to turn that meta human face on and just absolutely wreak havoc, in my opinion. Because let's face it, if Dallas loses again, it's done. Like I told this to Suin, like if they somehow win game three, maybe they have a chance, but if they don't win game three, they're done. As for the Celtics, you gotta get Jayson Tatum. I think this one's obvious because a lot of people are riding Jayson Tatum. And I want to say this because I am a Jayson Tatum supporter. I've been watching him for a long time. I've been watching him since his rookie year. This guy needs to get going. I think if I'm who is it, Drew or Derek or maybe Jalen, I want them to play a little bit of facilitator role in the aspect of, hey JT, let's get going. I want you to cook. All right. And let me just say this, and I always said I love Tatum all, but I hate it when he takes these stupid ass shots. JT, you're kind of a mismatch a little bit against the Mavs. All right, take it to the cup, be ferocious, be in attack mode early. All right, so for the Celtics, get Jayson Tatum going, get Jaylen Brown going, get Drew Holiday going, get Derek White going, and of course, get Kristaps Porzingis going. All right, but mainly get Jayson Tatum going so he feels comfortable, and then you let guys like Jalen, Drew, Derek, Kristaps, Al get going, and I think it'll fall down. As for who I think is going to win game three, I forgot to say this. I'm going to be giving my game three picks. Who I think is going to win game three. I think Dallas is going to win game three. I'm not Dallas. I think Boston's going to win game three. I just think right now Boston is just on another level with everybody else. Like Boston has been very good. I'll say again, they've been very good. And I just think right now I have this weird feeling in my stomach, and I'm not trying to be a hater or anything. All right. I just have this weird feeling in my stomach that this is going to be another struggling game for Kyrie because Drew is going to be like, hey, yeah, I'm not going to let you get 20 or 25. So Yeah, we'll see. I do expect Howard to be competitive, considering that Luca has that dog in him. If you get what I'm saying, but yeah, I think Boston's going to take this. So, who do you guys think is going to win Game 3? Is it Boston? Is it Dallas? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, to wrap things up, we're going to be doing something that I actually have been wanting to do for quite some time, but I didn't have the time to do it. And that is me ranking every single NBA head coach. Now, a little disclaimer, I'm doing like their previous coaches because there's been like a lot. I think there's been like a couple teams this year, like the Wizards, the Suns, the Nets, the Lakers, the Hornets. Um, who else? I'm trying to think who else is on that. Yeah, those five teams where they switched coaches after the season or like after the season. So these are like the coaches that they had going into, and also the Bucks. I forgot to mention the Bucks. Um, but nevertheless, I'm gonna be like ranking every single coach based on how I think how on my preference is what I'm getting at. So yeah, I'm gonna be ranking every single coach, NBA coach. I know the title says like logos on the tier list. I apologize for that. It's something I can't control. But anyway, I'm gonna be ranking every single NBA team's head coach, which makes sense. Anyway, here's how the tier is gonna work. So we have obviously the top tier, which is elite, like whether it's resume or I think they're just a very good coach in general. Um, and I think and whatnot. So I think they're elite. Then we have the coaches that are above average, like the coaches I think that are great coaches, like but like I wouldn't take them over like the elite unless it's like a do-off. Then we have the coaches that are solid. I mean, they're good coach. They're good and they're bad. There's no in between. And then we actually add two new tiers to the tier list because I don't think any coach in this league is like trash. We have this tier which is good, but they drive me nuts. Like they say something that drives me like they say something that drive me nuts, or what like they're like for like their formula to win drives me nuts, or like their adjustments, whatever it is, it drives me nuts. And then this new tier is like it's not them, it's or was their situation. I mean, like they're like I don't think they're a bad coach. I just think they are like in a really like bad situation, if that makes sense. All right. So starting off, we got the Indiana Pacers. That should be Rick Carlisle. I think Rick Carlisle is above average coach. Like I said last year that the Pacers were going to make the playoffs this year. I think I said it. I'm not entirely sure. But he's done an exceptional job with this team. This team, I think, if they get another star, like a decent star, like a Brandon Ingram type player, I think this team could be the one team that can actually, like, for real, challenge Boston in the East. But we have to wait and see. But for now, I think Rick Carlisle is an above-average coach. Moving on, we got Chris Finch. He's also above average. All right, like if you would have told me this year that the Timberwolves were going to finish, what was it, third in the West, and you said that with a straight face, and that if I said they're not going to do it, and then we made a bet that if they did, I had to do something like really crazy. There would have been a video probably of me online doing something ridiculous, but he's done a phenomenal job with this team. With this team over, I think how long has been there? Like 3 or 4 years with this team. Like he's a very good coach. Up next, we got Nick Nurse. I'm not ready to say he's elite because I know a lot of people are saying he's elite. I think he's above average. Like he is probably one of the smartest coaches in the league right now. He's a very good X's and O's game plan. And heck, if you had told me in the 2019-20 season, right after they lost Kawhi, I think for nothing, and said that the Raptors were going to be a playoff team, like I would have looked at you like crazy. Like this guy is really freaking good. Up next, we got Tyronn Lue for the Clippers. The first elite of this coach. Like he is like one of the best game planners of all the coaches. Like obviously there are other coaches in this league, but out of these four so far, like I would take them over any of these coaches, maybe except for Nick Nurse, but like you know, but like great individual, great coach. Like he has had so much adversity over the years. Like it's not even funny. Like he missed what was it? In his first year coaching the Clippers, they made it to the conference finals. Now, granted, Kawhi was hurt, but still, they made it to the conference finals. What is it? The next season they missed the playoffs, but like they had like the injury bug that bit them. All right. Last year they played against Phoenix and they didn't have Kawhi. And this year, like, yeah, they lost to Dallas in the first round, but like this guy is one of the best coaches in our league as of right now. Up next, we got who is it? Jacques Vaughn. It's not him. It was the situation. Look, I loved Jacques Vaughn. I thought he was a very good coach. Like, obviously, he kind of struggled when he was with after KD and Kyrie left, but he was. But I didn't think it was gonna be. I didn't wish like what I'm saying is I didn't wish him to be fired because he's a very talented coach. He seems like a great dude. You know, it's like it wasn't him. It was the situation around him. Next, we got Darvin Ham. Oh man, this might sound. You know what? This might sound crazy. Um, but I think Darvin Ham was a solid coach. And before y'all Lakers fans or NBA fans out there get on my ass, let me explain this. And also, I forgot to say this, my Uncle Tony. Shout out my Uncle Tony was a Lakers fan. If you would have told me, what was it, the 22 off season, that this Lakers team was going to make it to the Western Conference Finals, and you said that with a straight face, I would have been like, "Are you okay?" Because like you're crazy. I I want to say this because I think I said this I don't know a couple episodes ago. I want to say this. It was not Darvin's Ham fault, like to get fired. Like it's not his fault that they drew the worst matchup possible. All right. Now, obviously, they didn't want to play against Golden State or Sacramento, who kicked their ass this past season. But still, like it wasn't his fault that they drew the Nuggets, who, if you guys don't know, or probably you guys probably know this, who beaten the Lakers like 11 or 12 times. All right. I think Darvin Ham was a great coach, regardless of what people say. Like, had they not drawn the Nuggets in the first round, Darvin would still have a job. Up next, we got Doc Rivers. He's a good coach, but he drives me nuts. Like I think there's a video out there of him when Adrian Griffin got fired. He was explaining on a podcast where I think he was like, what was his Adrian Griffin's agent, and I think he said after Adrian Griffin got fired that like I don't want to like coach the Milwaukee Bucks and stuff like that. And then like I think the Bucks management were saying like, no, you're gonna coach and you don't have a say in this. So he ended up doing it. So yeah, he's a good coach, but there's some things that he does that like really drive me nuts. Like I I still to this day don't know how he choked so many 3-2 leads. Like that literally blows my mind to this day. And he's been coaching since before I was even born. Up next, we got Taylor Jenkins. He's a very solid coach. I wouldn't take him over like guys like Rick Carlisle, like Chris Finch, and like Nick Nurse. But one thing I will say is he has done a really good job with this Grizzlies team. Like throughout his first 3 years, like the post Mike Conley and Zach Randolph era, he took this team to almost the playoffs. All right, and last year, like they had the worst injury bug you can ever see out of any team. Maybe if you exclude, maybe in a way, Golden State in 2017-18 a little bit. I know they're two different teams because Golden State ended up winning the championship. But like this guy, like if the Grizzlies players hadn't gotten hurt, like I think they would have fought for a playing spot in my opinion. Up next, we got Billy Donovan. I might get ripped for this, but I don't really care. I think he's a very solid coach. I have been the biggest Billy Donovan fan since he got to OKC, and I still rock with him because I think he's a very good coach. It's that like the Bulls, like I have to admit they have kind of underperformed this year. I know Bulls fan want to start out fresh, but like he's a very, very good coach. Up next, we got Ime Udoka. I think he's an elite head coach. Like if, like I said with who was it, the Lakers, if you and the Timberwolves in this aspect, if you would have told me what was it, the 21-22 season, that the Celtics with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, that they were going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and then make it to the NBA Finals, I would have looked at you like crazy. Like, this guy is probably one of the smartest coaches in our league, and he's also a coach that you better show him some respect. Like, he doesn't care. Like, if you're a top pick, he just wants you. He wants to put his best players out there, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. Up next, we got Will Hardy. A solid coach, I guess. Like, I don't know much about Will Hardy other than he was an assistant coach for the Boston Celtics. But like, what he's done with that Jazz team, making them play spoiler throughout, like, towards the end of the season, really, blows my mind. But he's a very solid coach. Up next, we got JB Bickerstaff. He's a good coach, but they drive me nuts. Like, I think I heard somewhere that like he treated some of his players like they were children, which is like kind of really stupid in my opinion. But regardless, I think he's a very good coach. I said in the what was it, 21-22 season that this guy should have been coach of the year just because like he made the Cavs to a certain degree relevant. Like he led them to their first winning record like since like what 2017-18 since like LeBron's last year in Cleveland. Like that's crazy. Up next we got Mike Brown. Jeez. Honestly, I love Mike Brown. I really do. I just don't know where to put him on this tier. You know what? I'm just gonna put him as a above average coach, just because I think what he's done with that Kings organization, like the Cavs did a little bit with JB Bickerstaff, like he made them relevant. Like the last time the Kings ever made the playoffs, I was in my mom's stomach, and I know that sounds TMI, but like my point is he made the Kings a very good team and a very like in a sense like a team that like has some like faith restored. And of course, you can't go wrong with light the beam because that thing's hilarious. Up next, we got Jamal Mosley. I think he's a solid coach. I obviously have to see what he does next year because like obviously this year they made the playoffs for the first time like as like a top five seed per se since 2010. But I want to see what he does here too. Obviously, he's got like really good young talent in Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, Jalen Suggs, Mo Wagner. Like this guy is going to be a very solid coach. Up next, we got Greg Popovich. Obviously, elite, one of the best coaches in our NBA today. Like I think he is like the Bill Belichick of the NBA. Like very good coach. A lot of players respect him. A lot of players love him. Although he can be some more of a hard ass, like he's gonna make you like work hard every single night. Up next, we got Joe Mazzulla. I might get ripped for this, but I really do not care. I think he's an elite head coach. Look, I know he didn't have training camp with his team, but anytime you're like thrown into a fire right before the season begins, especially how he was like thrown in the fire after what the Iman situation and took this team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, granted, they did lose to Miami, but still, that is like crazy. And I think he deserves all his praise. And I think if he wins a ring this year, I think he should be like a top five, maybe 10 coach in our league. Up next, we got Jason Kidd. I think he's above average. And now, before you get on my ass, let me explain why. All right, look, there are some things that I like about Jason Kidd. Like he's a very good like motivational speaker. Like I love a coach that is very motivational at times. But at the same time, I still, granted, it's been over a year now. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that this team was like almost like a game or two away from making the play-in spot, and they choose to decide to tank. Now, granted, they did get a Derek Lively, who's been amazing this postseason. Like Derek's been amazing, but still, like if I want to fight for a playoff spot, I'm gonna find a way to get into that playoff spot. Up next, we got who is it? Monty Williams. It's not him. It's their situation. Like, let's face it. Like the Pistons right now have been one of the worst teams in the league for a long time, and like they have good players on their team. Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey. Obviously, I'm a huge Kate Cunningham fan. I think it's Ahmed or Amar Thompson. I can't remember who's on that, which twin is on that team. Like they have a bunch of young talent on their team. It's just I don't know. It's just really hard. for me to say he's a good coach. Up next, we got Willie Green. Oh, I'm going to say he's a very solid coach. I love Willie Green as a coach. I think he's a very good defensive minded coach. Now, obviously, like he's had the worst luck outside maybe Teron Lue aspect of like some of his, excuse me, star players get hurt at the worst time. But like I think if the Pelicans can stay healthy and like they somehow make the playoffs, I think he's gonna be he's gonna be very good. Up next, we got Quinn Snyder. He's above average. I'm a huge Quinn Snyder fan. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in our league just because like he's not talked about a lot as one of the greats. Like obviously he was in Utah for like a chunk of his time. And then obviously you got him in Atlanta where they kind of struggled a bit. But like I still think to this day, I still think he's a great head coach. Up next, we got the Nuggets. He's good. Mike Malone's a good coach, and I know they won the chip this year, but he drives me nuts. Like, let me tell you this right now. Like, and granted, I know they beat them and all that stuff, but I still to this day can't get over the fact that he had the audacity to say that the who's your daddy for like when the Nuggets played the Lakers. Like that is like probably so low. Like I know like the Nuggets did beat the Lakers in the to get to the finals and they beat them this year. But just don't say that is what I'm saying, is what I'm getting at. Just don't say that. Just say like just just don't say it is what I'm saying. I don't have anything else to say. Just don't say that. It's really weird. Up next, we got Steve Clifford. It was not him. It was a situation. Look, I'm a huge LaMelo Ball fan. I really am to a certain degree, but like he, I don't know. This team is going to be very good in the near future. But like, I don't know. They're right now in a very tough Eastern Conference team, and like, yeah, that's all I gotta say. But they're in a very good spot. Up next, we got Frank Vogel. Jeez, right now I think he was a good coach, but there were some things that he drove me nuts. Like I watched the second half of Phoenix this year. Like there were some things where I like questioned like what is he doing? Like I remember the Suns were playing who was it? Boston game 1 was it? Like and I think Nurk, who as you guys know, I'm a big Nurkic fan. Nurk, I think, was playing pretty solid basketball. He was like his rebounds were keeping them somewhat in it. Nurk didn't play, I didn't think, like the entire fourth quarter, which to this day really blew my mind. But for that, like I still think he's a good coach, but like some of the things that he does like drive me nuts. Up next, we got Brian Keefe slash Wes Unseld Jr. It's not him. It's a situation. Look, you think about the Wizards after the Bradley Beal trade, they don't have like a lot of great players on the team. Like, yeah, they have Kuz, they have Jordan Poole, but like they don't have a bright future. That's what I'm saying. And I feel so bad for this team, because I'm a huge Corey Kispert fan right now. But like, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Like, it's not them, it's not him, it's his situation. Up next, we got Mark Dagnall. I think he's a very solid coach. I think he's a very solid coach. Obviously, I got to see what happens next year for OKC if they're going to take that next step. Obviously, we don't know yet, but like I think this team is going to be very good, and I think they Thunder chose the right coach. Up next, we got Tom Thibodeau. Look, hear me out on this. He's a good coach, Tom Tibbs is, but he drives me nuts with his game plan. Like the way that he plays most of his star players, 48 minutes a night, like he plays them the entire game. To this day, still blows my mind. Like part of me feels like is Tibbs like pushing them to the brink or something? Like I saw like Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, all like get injured after playing like 45 plus minutes under this guy. Like, I'm not saying Tibbs is a bad coach. I think like 48 minutes is absolute ludicrous. Up next, we got Steve Kerr. Yeah, you can call me a homer because I have a Steph Curry jersey in my closet. I think he's an elite coach. One of the best coaches, particularly in the 2010, 2015 to now. He has what, four championships? And you want to talk about as a player? He has like what, five championships as a player. Uh, sure, he drives me nuts with some of the things he does, but he is one of my favorite coaches in the league right now, and he's a very good speaker. Up next, we got Eric Spoelstra, another elite head coach. He is probably him, Ty Lue, Pop, and probably Kerr are like the top four best coaches, particularly like my childhood per se, just because like he's done so much for that Miami team. Like people forget he used to be a videographer back in the day. It was hard to believe, but look, he's a great coach. Up next, we got Chauncey Billups. Oh, Chauncey, my Chauncey. It's not him. It's this situation. Look, I think the Blazers, honest to God, I think they're going to be a great team in the future. But right now, he doesn't look that way. And finally, we got Darko. I don't know how to say his last name, but Coach Darko. It's not him. It's his situation. Look, I think Darko has done an okay job with the Raptors, but at the same time, like his team is just not very good. But yeah, that's I don't know. Like maybe the Raptors could be good in the near future. Who knows? But for now, it's not him. It's a situation. And that is me ranking every single coaches. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let me know in the comment section below. But I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Stay warm, stay safe, stay active because it's getting hot now during the summer days. Um, hope you have I know it's early, a great Father's Day. Recording schedule will come back like we'll come back to normal starting next week, hopefully. And until next time, be out.